Welcome to In Conversation with MANWAR podcast. This podcast is brought to you by the Do Not Be a Bystander campaign. You can join us in raising awareness about bullying by visiting the donotbeabystander.com, and be sure to subscribe to the channel to stay informed about upcoming episodes. Today's participants are Sufyan, Farifta, Kian, and Ziana. Our special guest for today's episode is Rob Wells.
Welcome to our Bullying Awareness podcast. I'm your host, MANWAR Khan. Today, I'm joined by four young individuals who are ready to share their thoughts and insights on the topic of leadership. We will talk about some qualities of leadership, how to be a good leader and effective leaders. And I hope it will be helpful and informative session for everyone. Today's participants are Sufyan, Kian, Farifta, and
Well,
Ziana. Hello, everyone, and thank you all for joining for this podcast. Before we continue, I would like to introduce our special guest for today's podcast, Rob Wells. Rob will shed some lights on the time on the topic of bullying and give some tips and advice, and he will basically listen to your responses. I want to say a little bit about Rob. Rob has lived all his life in Alberta. He works for justice through his activism work, usually as a lone protester, never doubting the power of one. Thank you, Rob, for joining us today. We
my
really,
honor to be here.
we really appreciate that, sir. Now that I have introduced our participants and guests, let's get started with the questions. And when it comes to effective leadership, certain qualities are essential for success. And we all know that. Some leaders have some different types of qualities. Some good leaders have a different types of qualities. So my question for Sufyan is, what are some important qualities of good leader?
There are several important qualities that make up a good leader. Here are some key attributes. Number one, vision. A good leader has a clear vision and can describe it to their team or organization. They have a sense of direction and it can inspire others to work towards a common goal. Number two, communication. Effective communication is crucial for a leader. They should be able to listen actively, express their thoughts clearly, and provide feedback. Strong communication skills help build trust, foster collaboration, and resolve conflicts. Number three, integrity. Leaders should possess strong moral and ethical principles. They should act with honesty, transparency, and fairness, earning the trust and respect of their team members. And number four, empathy. Good leaders understand and care about the needs, concerns, and feelings of their team members. They show empathy by actively listening and providing support and considering different perspectives. Number five, decisiveness. Leaders need to make timely and informed decisions. They analyze information, weigh options, and take responsibility for their chores. Being decisive makes confidence and helps move projects forward. Number six, adaptability. In our rapidly changing world, leaders must be adaptable. They should be open to new ideas, embrace change, and be willing to adjust their strategies when necessary. Number seven, accountability. Good leaders take ownership of their actions and respect and accept responsibility for both successes and failures. They hold themselves and their team accountable for meeting goals and maintaining high standards. Then there's confidence. A leader also needs confidence to inspire others. They should demonstrate confidence. They should demonstrate self assurance, remain composed during challenge times, and motivate their own team even in the face of adversity. Number nine, a collaboration. Effective leaders foster a collaborative environment where teamwork is valued. They encourage cooperation, delegate tasks appropriately, and recognize the contributions of their team members. And then there's continuous learning. Good leaders have a thirst for knowledge and personal growth. They seek out new opportunities to learn, develop their skills, and stay updated with improvement. It's important to note that these self qualities can be developed and improved over time of self reflection, practice, and learning from experiences. Leadership is a journey of growth and development.
All right. Great answer. Great answer. This was a question that I had for you, but I want to add something else here. Sufyan, this is at personal level. The question I'm going to ask you that might surprise you, but I'm sure you have an answer. I just want to make sure that you really understand exactly what a true leader's some qualities of a true leader. Do you consider your dad as a community leader?
Yes,
Yes. Why do you consider that?
because he has good vision. He has communication. He talks to everybody, and he's really kind to others, and like he has a lot of empathy. He cares for people as the vice president of BCAOC, and he does adapt to new ideas, and they do, and my dad does take ownership of actions and accept responsibility for successes and failures. Also, my dad has my dad has confidence. Of course, he does a lot of speeches. Uh he um he motivates me to become something like him, and yeah, he
Ex-
most
no,
yeah.
that's great. That's all I wanted to hear. I wanted to I wanted you to see or relate a real life example because I know your dad personally, and there's one more thing you didn't mention that that I want to mention is you need to have the trust of your followers. People need to trust you. It's integrity and trust. That is a very important thing. I personally, I live in Edmonton. I know you guys live in Calgary. I trust your dad. So trust is the most important thing when it comes to the leadership role. Because if people cannot trust you, they cannot lead you. They cannot follow you, and you cannot whatever you say. You cannot uh, be a true leader if you do not have that quality. You have to have that quality so that people trust you. How people trust you? What you say, what you do, what you say, what you mean, what you do good for others, and lots of example that you gave, right? Confidence and everything, but trust is one of the key factor here. All right, excellent. Thank you so much, Sufyan, for your answer. Sorry, I had to ask a question out of at the personal level, but I wanted to ask you. You had a great answer, but I wanted to see that if you can relate it to the real life. Now it's clear to you, right? See, those are the you have, you can see whatever you read, you can see all these. Do you see all these qualities in your dad? Right? So, all right, excellent. Thank you so much. My next question is um for Kian. So leadership is a complex concept. We know that, and different meanings. So, what does leadership means to you, Kian? And can anyone be a leader, or are certain qualities necessary to be effective, to be an effective leader?
To me, leadership means that you are following specific actions to being an individual in charge of a group of individuals. You would usually set an objective for the group and help the group do it, such as motivating the group or making sure that the individuals are in the correct order and are doing the right actions for the objective. You would also work on the objective with them in some cases. Leadership is not about being a boss and telling the individuals what they have to do. Leadership is helping individuals and working with them so they can achieve their goal.
Wonderful, excellent. I like that part when you say leadership is not just the boss. It's you have to work closely with your people, right? If they think you are the only the boss, then it's not gonna work. It's boss has the authority on you, right? But leadership, they can have the authority. The boss has the authority. That's why I will listen to my boss, but I will never follow him or her, right? If I don't trust that person. So it's authority and leadership skills is different, completely different. You can be boss, but you cannot be a leader. There are some people who are leaders. They are not boss, but they're still leaders. So there is a word that says in at our work is leadership is at every chair. So leadership can be anywhere. Thank you so much, Kian. That was a great answer.
Uh,
Next question. Sorry, did you want to say anything else,
yeah,
Kian?
I have one more question to answer.
Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry I
I
missed that.
I have one more question to answer.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the question is, can anyone be a leader, or are certain qualities necessary to be an effective leader? So, in my opinion, I would think that anybody can be a leader and there are certain qualities necessary to be an effective leader. Anybody can be an effective leader, but they have to work hard and achieve certain qualities to improve their leadership to become an effective and good leader. But in some cases, anybody can be a leader without working hard to achieve certain qualities. But they wouldn't really be considered as being an effective and good leader.
Anything else you want to add?
No.
Perfect. Thank you. Excellent. Wonderful. So each of us have the opportunity to demonstrate leadership qualities, and those qualities Sufyan and Kian mentioned, and make positive impacts on those around us. So how my question for Farifta right now, how can you show leadership in your everyday life, Farifta?
Thank you for the thank you for the question. Um, I can show leadership by showing doing kind actions, and make someone stay better. Being confident and humble to people will lead you at a really good leadership. Also, being kind and caring, understanding someone's problem is what makes people a lot more confident about themselves. Showing leadership is to care and support others and teach them what is best.
Right. So anything else?
No.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Great. And so, my last question for Ziana: how can leaders inspire others to do their best?
Thank you for the question. Leaders can inspire others to do their best by setting a positive example, providing support to the person, and by applying various strategies and taking on certain qualities. For example, providing meaningful feedback. Leaders can give regular feedback, focusing on strengths and areas for improvements. But they should also acknowledge and appreciate their team members' accomplishments, which motivates them to maintain a high performance. Another way leaders can inspire others to do their best is leading by example. Leaders should lead by example and consistently demonstrate the behavior they expect from their team. Doing this sets a high standard and encourages team members to follow. Lastly, celebrating successes and learning from failures. Leaders should acknowledge and celebrate team successes, and at the same time, they should encourage a growth mindset where failures are seen as learning opportunities and inspiring team members to give their best. And remember that inspiring others requires consistent efforts, genuine care, and a deep understanding of people's motivations and needs. Effective leadership is about creating an environment where people feel motivated and engaged to bring their best selves to work. That is all. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And you're right. Effective leaders motivates and uplift their team. It's create and empower an environment where you can see that they are inspired to do their best, right? Perfect. Any other comments from our participants? Do you guys have any comments? Anything else to add? All right. If not, we have come to the end of the podcast. Now, my next question would be for Rob. It's not a question. Rob, please share your thoughts and opinion. What you have heard from these young minds, and what do you think about them, and any tips and advice you have for them?
Oh, some great answers from all the participants. I admire you very much. I have another perspective that I want you to consider. That very important aspect of leadership is courage. And you have to have the courage to not be popular, maybe not have the trust of the people who you want to inspire initially. Some of the greatest leaders in the world had no trust from people. They were thrown in jail. You look at Dr. Martin Luther King, for example. And my challenge is to trust yourself, to know what is right, what needs to be done, even if it's not popular, even if you have no followers initially. But eventually people will realize that you were right and they were wrong, and you will change the way people think, and you will make huge changes in society. So trust yourself, do what you know is right in your heart, and have the courage to do the steps that you can safely take to make things better. So wonderful answers from all of you. I admire you very much. Thank you.
Excellent. Do you guys have any questions for Rob? Sure.
I do. I
Sure.
have a question.
Go ahead, Sufyan.
Um, what do you think what do you think is like the definition of leadership? Like, what is leadership?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's having the self-esteem and the self-worth to be able to follow your heart, to know what needs to be done, what is the right thing to do, and to have the courage to do it. Even if it's not popular, even if you're not going to be the hero of everybody, eventually people will see the truth in your actions, and eventually people will recognize that you are a good example to follow.
Exactly. I just want to add one more thing to Rob. Rob, are you done with that? Sorry.
Yes.
Sufyan, what Rob just said. Just want to add one more thing. Also, empower others to follow them, and that is leadership. Any other questions? That was a good question. Thank you, Sufyan. Thank you, Rob. So excellent. We have come to the end of our podcast, and I would like to thank our participants, Sufyan, Kian, Farifta, and Ziana. I also want to thank our special guest, Rob, for joining us. Thank you, Rob. So, thank you so much for listening to our podcast. Before we wrap up, I would like to remind our listeners that there are several resources available for helping individuals who are dealing with bullying. The government of Alberta has a helpline which provides support and advise those who experience bullying. And the helpline can be reached at 1-888-456-2323. Bullying is a violation of human rights. Under no circumstances is bullying acceptable. As a community, we have shared responsibility to stand against bullying and refuse to be a bystander. Thank you for joining in conversation with Manwar Khan, and we will see you next week.